Welcome back to Starladder SEA coverage. We've got 3 games coming up tonight, and we were a little slow getting into the lobby tonight, folks, but we're here nonetheless. We've got Johnny's Revenge versus MSI Evo coming up for our first match of the day. I'm Zyori, joined once again by Blaze. Blaze, how you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good. Got a nice little game of Chinese Dota to get a bit of a warm-up for this game here, and now we get over to the SEA action and get to see some great games from these teams here. Now, MSI Evo GT, they haven't been doing so great so far in the group stages here in the Starladder SEA and Johnny's Revenge. They've been actually towards the top of the charts here, so obviously the favorites would probably have to be on the side of the Radiant here, but nevertheless, I think it should be a pretty interesting game. I mean, you always get some really interesting play when you get the Pinoys involved, when you just get some good old SEA showdowns. So yeah, I think it'll be a pretty fun one.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the grid here. Right now, Johnny's Revenge have played seven games. They are sitting 6-1, so certainly off to a good start with quite a few games to go. And MSI, as you mentioned, are 4-3 right now with 7 games played also. So an obvious disparity there, but we'll see how it works out. The bets right now are 69% in favor of Johnny's Revenge. So the fans have spoken, Blaze, and they know who they're looking forward to. Johnny's Revenge pick up Brewmaster and Viper with their first 2. MSI will grab Skywrath Mage and Nature's Prophet for a little bit of the Rat Dodo. Johnny's Revenge take out the Drow Ranger, and there's that Faceless Void we'd kind of expect banned out. MSI hedging their bets a little bit as they third pick the Earthshaker to maybe deal with some pushing, keep their Nature's Prophet alive, and create some setup for that Skywrath Mage.
Yeah, so the interesting bans here, John's Revenge taking out the Drow and the Faceless Void. I'm very interested to see exactly what they're worried about there, just the dual silence and the Chronosphere to shut down the Brewmaster, I guess. They seem to be really wanting to set up the Panda for success here, and I guess it's just going to be a core aspect of their strategy, enabling him to get to blink the Aghanims quickly and not have to worry about things like BKB, because yeah, in this position, you're already worried about the Ancient Seal coming out, but the Gust on top of that might be difficult, and there's also the potential of them just being in general worried about enhancing that Nature Prophet damage a lot. The right click from Precision Aura enables Nature's Prophet to deal some insane damage very early in the game, and it might not be something they're ready for. So, and no matter the case, the tempo, the push, whatever Drow brings, they don't want to go up against it, and they're going to take it off the table, and that's going to leave open for more cast reliant heroes. Since they're not as worried about silence with Doom and Drow off the table, they can go for Dazzle, and they can try to make this kind of sustained teamfight lineup.
Yeah. So there's that Dazzle, and well, let's see what MSI want to pick up here. I've been seeing a rise of Dazzle. We saw him earlier today, or I guess technically yesterday, in that crazy EG game. But hey, man, I'm never complaining when the Shadow Priest is on the field.
Yeah, definitely a lot of potential there. I mean, as far as like the armor buff, maybe they're mostly taking magical damage from the heroes they see on their board right now, but even still they can use it offensively, and they can make sure that Viper does a lot of damage with that Nether Toxin. The Brewmaster's Fire Panda does a lot of physical damage as well, so that's going to be pretty nice. And of course, you just get the benefit of keeping the Brewmaster alive long enough to get the split. If he does get hit by the Ancient Seal, then he's going to be taking a lot of damage. He's going to be their focus, but one good Shallow Grave, and you're still in the game. So I think that that's going to be a pretty important aspect, is trying to make sure that Brewmaster gets split every single fight, and that seems to be really what this entire draft has been about so far. If Brewmaster isn't able to get the split in the fights they wanted to, the only answer is for MSI to retreat, and in this case, the Centaur Warrunner is going to be the best piece to put on the board for that. The Stampeding Wave, whenever they see the Primal Split, is probably their general idea. Maybe they can fish or block it out too, but yeah, they just don't want to take fights that are going to involve those pandas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned the Centaur's utility there, and the Stampede is definitely a valuable tool in the arsenal. Now MSI will need something in the carry department, that position 1, and this probably means it'll have to be a mid-Nature's Prophet, I guess. To be fair, earlier today, again, we did see a position 1 Nature's Prophet built about in a tri-lane with some farm priority, so perhaps that's what they'll try, but perhaps more likely he'll be headed off to the mid lane. Sand King now that second support for Johnny's Revenge.
Now, this is kind of interesting because I actually don't have that much in terms of early initiation. Like, they could go Boots first on the Sand King and make Dazzle number 5. I'm not entirely a fan of that because Dazzle can benefit a lot from just a few thousand gold of net worth. But in either case, I think they're going to have a little bit of difficulty finding their first couple of kills unless we see things like the Thunderclap or maybe like 2 or 3 points in poison attack to set them up. They need a little bit of slow to get going because just walking up, waddling up with the rank 1 Burrow Strike is not going to be the initiation you need against heroes
10
that have
seconds
pretty high base
remaining.
movement speed. I mean, even Earthshaker is pretty quick on his feet. Everybody here
5
has
seconds
enough movement
remaining.
speed to dodge out a gank unless they're severely out of position.
Radiant team
Yeah, they
ban.
could also be possibly looking to put Dazzle kind of in the lane alongside probably the Viper and doing the stacking and pulling in the easy camp, and
Dire
then have the
team
Sand
pick.
King just move into the jungle and take farm priority there. So maybe the Dazzle will find some decent farm. It's kind of hard to say, though. It will be a
Radiant
Naga
team
Siren final
pick.
pick from MSI, so it looks like we know who their position 1 will be, or, well, I guess probably the mid lane, but she'll be the one with the highest farm priority, and they'll be able to take this one late, no doubt.
Yeah, so yeah, they're going to be going passive right now. They're not really going to be able to find kill openings, and First Blood definitely seems to be more possible for
10
MSI.
seconds
So
remaining.
we're going to be having to keep an eye on that Skywrath Earthshaker roaming combo and see what they can
5
accomplish with
seconds.
that. I
5
think they really
seconds
do want to shut down
remaining.
the mid lane and try to keep control of that. If they can just get a couple of kills on the
Reserve
Brewmaster, set
time.
him back away from the Blink, that's going to buy time for Naga Siren, and that's going to put them into the mid to late game. So their general game plan here is first gank to create space, then later on push to create space with the Furion, and finally Naga Siren carries the game away. But we'll see if Johnny's Revenge is able to pick up a core hero that can still counteract Naga Siren in some capacity. It looks like they're drafting for offlane here, unless the Brewmaster is going to be played by Winter. So we'll see. The Tide is probably what they wanted to go with, but up against the Naga, it might not be the ideal choice. We'll have to see.
And
Ooh.
wow, they grabbed the Morphling. So
Dire
who
team
is the
pick.
winter hero here? I guess that means it has to be the Brewmaster. And, well, a nice little change of pace. Position 1 Morphling, off lane Brew with Paulison headed to the mid on that Viper.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I did not expect that, especially. Is that Johnny with the name JLB picking
That's
up the
a
Morphling here?
that's a good question. He's tagged up as JR, so I want to say yes. That's probably what the J stands for, but
Yeah,
I
so
can't say for
I mean,
sure.
Johnny has been playing so much support recently, and now playing Morphling here. I mean, I'm sure it works in his SEA pubs, but all the same, it's not something that we have much reliable experience casting in terms of his competitive play on that hero. So Morphling's a great hero in his own right, but man, this is
10
definitely a
seconds
swap if
remaining.
this is indeed Johnny on the Morphling. But he's going to be going toe to toe with Jules, another
5
good
seconds remaining.
late game minded here player, and we'll see how that pans out. I do like the fact that the Morphling can replicate the Naga Siren, and even if she does pick up maybe like 17, 18-minute Radiance to try to stop the push, if Johnny's Revenge steal the Radiance right back with that replicate, then they can still cause some real difficulty for MSI in the team fights.
Yep. Yeah, one good little bit of synergy there, but we'll move into a pause to get things started, and yeah, it will be winter on the Brew. So Radiant off lane shouldn't be too bad for the Brewmaster. Um, I guess, do you think it's more likely that they'll put the Naga mid or safe lane the Naga and then put the Prophet headed mid?
Um, it kind of just seems like he'd probably get more out of the top lane. He's only going to be going up against a Brewmaster, and the supports can be very active in zoning a Brew. The Skywrath Mage does a lot of magic-based damage, so the early point in Drunken Brawler is not going to really mitigate too much of his losses. So I think if they're focusing on getting Jules up as quickly as possible, then he's going to have a better bet on just on his safe lane, as generally speaking, they're at least going to keep the Brewmaster at bay. Brew will still get some experience, but it's not going to be enough to interrupt the CS of Jules. And I think that I would prefer to see him in that capacity because then, of course, the Nature's Prophet gets experience as well.
Yeah. Well, looks like we'll have a resume here. Somebody was having some kind of a PC issue, but appears to be resolved pretty quickly there, and, well, good news for us. So Naga with her opening build. It looks like Jules will be headed mid with just the double branches, rushing that bottle and get that ball rolling early on.
Yeah.
Earthshaker's
So
trying to give her another tango here, but she won't have it.
yeah. It's interesting. Looking over at Ling's current items, like he's actually went for the boots build, but we see Sharky gave him both the sentries and the observers. Usually, you don't give your stand-in all the wards to place. You kind of want a little bit more control of that for yourself, but he knows wants to do with them. He's going to drop them down here on the off lane, give some really good space for Winter, assuming he makes his way back up top. For right now, the lanes kind of are standing out with Viper and Brewmaster in the same position, but I think that's just to dissuade any early aggression in level 1 clashes. Winter's going to make his way back up top, and he's got some great vision to allow him to know when he can leech from that western pull and when he can actually start roaming to harass the Naga Siren.
Yep. Unfortunately, this ward does fall a little bit short of the top rune coverage, but gives you a lot of intel about the support movements on the other side and when they're going for that top rune. So, still good placement. Dire's side, they've got a top rune ward on the high ground to boot. So, similar positioning in terms of wards there, and that'll be it in the ward coverage to get things started. Both teams hanging on to their second observer for now, and still no sentries have come out into the mix. Will be the off-lane Nature's Prophet, mid-Naga, and that means the safe lane here will be built around the Centaur, which is definitely a little bit strange. Now, there is potential for some crazy killing with this tri-lane across these three heroes, especially with the Skywrath. That Ancient Seal will buff up a lot of this magic damage, but with a Centaur tri-lane, it really delays the timing window where he picks up Stampede, and that is often a cause for concern.
Yeah, so we'll see kind of a interesting clash here in the mid lane. It's going to be the two farm prioritized heroes going toe-to-toe. Jules on the Naga Siren and Johnny on the Morphling, and this is going to be a really high impact lane between the two. If any denies come out, obviously like there is going to be a lot of offensive CS constantly for both sides. They're both trying to get gold out of this, but if any last hits are denied from either side, that's going to be where they can really very directly set back the opposition. But now it's going to be an early bottle coming out for the Naga Siren, more conservative build for the Morphling. He's going to have to build up a little bit more income before picking up one for himself.
Yep. I'm a little surprised to see the Morphling in the mid versus the Viper. It seems like Viper is very well suited to deal with the Naga, just in general, last hit, harass her back. And we always talk about that really high base armor she has, but he's got a fair bit of magic damage. We'll see.
Look at down bottom. They just did a single pull here, and look at that creep wave. That is absolutely massive. They've got the shadow wave on top of it. They're looking to just destroy this tower. They're going to pick up a Basilius Aura for on the side shop right now for Polasan, and they're going for this tier 1. Or they're not. Okay, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. So, okay, now we see this strategy coming to light a little bit. Prophet will try and pull aggro off the tower, but he only has 2 Treants, and Dazzle's here with a Shadow Wave, I would imagine, to try and clean up this wave and keep his creeps alive. No, he'll actually hold it a little longer than I thought. Up top, Winter will get dove on, and he'll survive as he hops onto the other side of the fissure, and he'll just salve up and be A-okay. And here we go, the massive push down bottom. 4 ranged creeps. In come the Treants. They'll pull some aggro, but Viper will just be able to click them down, and the mobs will just go right back onto the tier 1.
Wow, that's so insane. I think actually the Nature's Prophet did some of that himself with the Treants pulling back the wave. There's no way you get that a triple wave just on that alone. So I think he pulled it back with Treants. Then they just said, screw it, we'll go for a single pull, which is normally bad when you think about it from a pub perspective. But in this case, they stack up 3 full waves. The Fury can do absolutely nothing about it, and they take an easy tier 1. This is absolutely immense for the early momentum of Johnny's Revenge.
Yeah, Glyph was even used, and Paulson secures the last hit on the Viper. That boosts up his farm quite a bit, and now they pinged out this tier 2 tower, and they want to pressure it as hard as they can while they're here. Burrow Strike will be off the mark from the Sand King, and now the TP's coming in to punish. Fissure comes out, and there's your first blood. Drawn on the Sand King by the Skywrath Mage, and Paulson just on the run. It looks like he will not survive. That Sprout comes out, and no more Fissure.
Ooh, nice heal bomb, though. The Earthshaker's actually taking a lot of damage here. He only has 3 armor, so by getting hit by that full Shadow Wave on the Creep Wave, he is down to 200 HP. Only a couple right clicks and he's going down. There's no mana left on either the Skywrath or the Nature's Prophet, so it might be enough for him to kill off the Earthshaker and then keep running and salve on the run. So we'll see. Right now, it looks like there was a little bit of disconnect issues. That's why they're trying to get into it, but Polasan's good to go. And let's see how this transpires.
Dazzle's out of mana as well. No point in the Shallow Grave, so there's nothing else coming out of Dazzle besides right clicks. Earthshaker will definitely go down. Paulson on the run, no points in the Corrosive Skin, not buying him any time. Will salve up, almost makes it out, but that one stray auto attack will finish him off. Now Dazzle on the run, and they won't pursue it to secure the kill. He did grab those early boots, helping him out quite a bit. So 1 for Well, 1 for 1 there. Not so bad. I guess it could have been a lot worse for Johnny's Revenge.
Well, yeah, they did actually, yeah, pick up the second kill. Where did they?
Where did that second kill come from?
Viper got the Earthshaker. Nature Prophet got the Viper. Am I missing something? I'm not too sure. I see 2 on the top, but looking at kills, Skywrath was able to pick one up. Looks. Oh, the Sand King was the first death. I don't know. That's still not on the screen. I guess out of sight, out of mind. But yeah, he was the one that started that off. Dove. It's still pretty early for me, man. But yeah, he dove pretty deep. That was
1 for 2.
Really unnecessary aggression in my mind. They got the tier 1. That was a really easy boost of gold, but they wanted more, and the TP rotation punished it pretty heavily. So they did get 2, and yeah, they were able to kind of bounce back a little bit here. But Polison's still having a pretty good time with the Aquila start. He's going to build up the early mechanism so Dazzle doesn't have to, and they can really start going for that Death Ball push in a 4-man movement very, very shortly. They still want Morphling to be kind of in his own individual lane, just doing his own thing, because he's going to be able to get more farm that way, just in terms of raw efficiency. But if they can get the Brewmaster split right around the time that they get the Viper mechanism, there's not much that MSI could do to respond. They could try to delay it with things like the Fissures, but they don't have that great of counter push beyond Nature's Prophet's Ultimate and the Earthshaker.
Yeah. And now Johnny's Revenge will take a slightly more passive take on the game mid lane as Morphling gets engaged on, but he'll live as he survives the silence and starts morphing strength. Makes it back to the tower, he'll be just fine. But now Sand King, he's got plenty of time to start working the jungle. He's got a big triple stack here on this hard camp, and nothing's slowing him down at this point. Found that valuable level 3, which is all he needs to start sandstorming away. And Dazzle hanging around down bottom and helping out with those kills, secured him an early level 4, so he's off to a good start, has that first point in Grave. And will now take over the mid lane and has a few seconds to farm at least, while the Morphling does head back to the well and regenerate up.
Doesn't get a free pass back there with the Replicant. Could go for, like, you see some Replicant TP plays early, but he's going to be focusing mostly on just the morph and the waveform. We see this build actually quite frequently, is not really picking up the Replicant until closer to level 8, level 9. And yeah, for now, he's just going to be doing his thing, farming up with the good right clicks here and getting a good waveform across as well. So yeah, a lot of offensive potential. He'll push out the wave, and that'll enable him to claim the rune on the top spawn. So illusion rune for Morphling, pretty solid when he can kind of manipulate the agi and strength of those illusions. And yeah, he is going to be able to take back full control of this laning phase for the mid lane. So when it comes down to it, we do see Jules has picked up 29 CS, but Morphling just slightly above that at 35.
Yeah. Morphling in good shape here. Naga did go for the Aquila on brown boots, and now will probably start pulling up. May stop off for the Drum of Endurance. We've been seeing that build, I think, a little bit more frequently than the Raw Radiance Rush that was popular maybe about a month and a half ago and onward. But, well, yeah, looks like he'll do that as he moves towards the pieces of a Bracer. So a little bit more of a combative Naga is in the top lane. We'll see Winter engaged on here. Takes a Fissure, a Silence. There's the follow-up damage from the Centaur, but a Primal Split, and they'll try to turn this around. Didn't need it to live, but instead they want to counter kill. Paulison TP's up. They will find it on the Centaur, who's only level 5. And the Tornado out on top of the Skywrath. No way he'll survive that one as he takes a boulder when he comes back down to planet Earth. A 2-for-0 turnaround and a very successful first Primal Split from Winter.
Yep, so that's going to be just putting them in the driver's seat for this game here. If they can get kill momentum behind tower momentum, they're going to be putting a chokehold on the Naga Siren very quickly in terms of just her ability to stay active across the map and try to pursue that big Radiance aura. For right now, they're looking for a Fissure block on the Morphling, but he's still got that waveform up, so there's no way they're going to bring him down in that duration. And yeah, I don't know. This is forcing Jules to go for a very conservative build, going for Aquila plus the Drums of Endurance. It means he's going to have a lot more HP to work with. He's going to be able to spam out his spells, but one thing he's going to be lacking is just the timing. He's going to get the Radiance aura at a point where there's going to be destroying multiple tier 2 towers, and it's not going to be as effective in just in terms of raw counter push.
Yeah, the other good thing about Paulison rotating is Dazzle gets some time to farm. Now maxing out the Shadow Wave and sitting pretty at level 5. We talked about how Dazzle is one of those supports that really benefits from some space to farm, and he's really been finding it in this game with quite a few opportunities. Looks like up top, the cores will rotate of all heroes. Don't see this too frequently, but the three farming priority heroes will move towards the top lane, and they won't find that opening. as Johnny just heads back towards mid. Power treads an Aquila on him, so starting to come online a little bit. Winter halfway to his Blink Dagger, pulling up that gold. But speaking of Blink Daggers, Sand King has had a lot of time in the jungle now, and he's found his level 6. No epicenter quite yet, but a 9-minute blink is pretty solid.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Just being involved in that first tower push and then being able to just go for a free jungle after the fact, this is their timing window where they just want to make things happen. They've got the smoke deceit on Sharky, looking to maybe pop it. No, not with Johnny. They're just going to go as a 3-man movement here. But yeah, with the Blink Dagger initiation, they should be able to go for any kill that they see before them. And even in the enemy jungle, although normally it's difficult to invade at this point in time just because there are going to be so many supports camped out in this area. If they... Oh, no, SK has to lead. Otherwise, if the smoke breaks, they don't get the initiation. So yeah, they wait for him. Now they're going to go, and I think they should be able to find at least 1, if not 2 kills here.
Yeah, they'll start rotating through. They see the pull camp, and no one farming it quite yet. MSI, with a lot of heroes off the map, will position themselves appropriately. Primal split once more. Centaur just picked up his Blink Dagger, but he'll get jumped on before he can even use it. Stampede has come out and will help buy him some space, but not enough to keep him alive as Paulison commences the right clicks and brings down the quote-unquote position 1 Centaur. Now the blink forward from Sand King. Burrow strike on 2, and MSI will get completely cleaned up here. It's a complete 3-for-0 exchange, and everyone on Johnny's Revenge will be able to make it out with plenty of HP to spare. Now they'll start going to work on the tower. It still has a lot of HP, but they should be able to do some decent damage.
Yeah, the Fisher was nice to try to kind of split it up when they were pursuing on the Centaur, but the end result is that after he casts it, the 2 supports were stuck like rats in a cage. They were just trapped up there and unable to do anything but wait for their impending demise. So, yeah, the Stampede was not useful enough for them to disengage from that particular split because of the quick burrow strike from the Sand King Ling. And now they have to try to go for a counterplay themselves. Now that the ulti is on cooldown for Johnny's Revenge, the big one, the split, they have to make their play down bottom. So they go for the 3-man movement. They really want this kill on the Morphling. And because he doesn't have a TP scroll, it is very possible they'll take it. But a difficult hero to bring down for certain. He does have a lot of great escape mechanisms.
Yeah, definitely. And now grabs a Blade of Alacrity as he gets jumped on. What a time for a pause.
Yeah, the disconnect did come out right before that blink, so it's not tactical, guys. I see that spammed from the first pause, and no, it definitely was just a connection problem from the Viper, but it is an unfortunate timing. As far as ways to respond to this here, you can definitely morph during the stun. So he's going to be able to use about 80 mana in terms of morphing, which is 4 shifts. Or actually, they nerfed that now. It's only 2 shifts because it's 30 mana per second instead of 20. So 3 shifts, or 3.5, I guess, if you count the half seconds. It does work differently than it did in Dota 1. But in either case, we are going to be seeing a lot of damage coming the way of the Morphling. Can they follow it up with any stuns or silences, though, is the question. What I believe will happen is he'll be able to get the Strength Morph off right when the Ancient Seal connects, but he still won't be able to waveform away. So that'll keep the Morph on because he can't toggle it off. He'll run dry on mana, and if the Magic Stick isn't enough to bring him up, he just doesn't have a great disengage. He doesn't have a waveform away, and of course we see this follow-up flank from Earthshaker. He's still smoked up on the western side, and he should be able to get that Fisher off. So Morphling's going to take a while to bring down because he's going to be pretty much morphing all this Agi, 56 Agi, into his health pool. But all the same, I think he will fall unless the TPs are pretty much fully on point from the side of Johnny's Revenge. We do see Sharky does have a TP, but with only 200 mana, there's not much he can contribute, just one spell. The Sand King does have one as well, and he's probably the one that has the best chance to make something happen. But still a hard hero to save and a hard fight to take.
Yeah, he only has mana for 1 spell if he TPs in, but now he will be a little... He'll have just enough to Grave TP. He's 2 mana short right now, and he'll regenerate it fast enough. He could just TP down and try and get a Grave if have Morphling just comes back towards the tower. There's possibility for survival.
Yeah, and the thing is, because he doesn't have a TP, it's just a delay tactic. He's gonna get a full HP bar from Morph. If he got graved up, it would keep him alive for that exact duration. It would keep him alive for exactly 5 seconds longer, but buying time won't actually bail you out of the situation here. He just has nowhere to run, and they don't have like a turnaround right now. They're not in position to actually turn the fight back in their favor. So
he does have
honestly
2 bottle charges, though. So if he survives the onslaught and gets any kind of window, he can... I don't know. There might be... If he tread swamps, eats the charges and bottles, You don't think there's any way he'll have enough mana for waveform?
I think that if he
100%
toggles
not.
strength, which he needs to do to actually survive the first initial burst, he's going to get silenced in the duration of the strength.
And that'll just eat all of his mana, yeah.
Yeah, it's 4-second duration. It's pretty massive as far as how much it just chews away. So yeah, I don't see a waveform happening.
All right. Well, we'll see. It's sort of an odd situation that having this extra time to analyze, I guess, makes potentially more interesting. Dazzle counting his stars right now, trying to decide what he wants to do. He does have
Now,
that
it's
second
worth noting
point
that the
in
pausing
Grave.
team was of Johnny's Revenge. Their cameras are locked, so they can communicate what they see, but they can't actually change their perspective here.
Ah, okay. Yeah, good. I guess worth noting. Yeah, also just on the same note, Dazzle does have that second point in the shallow graves at 700 range. Does also make this a little bit more viable in terms of basically TPing into the east or the west side of the tower and basically being in range for the grave right away, which may be an added incentive for him to try it, but yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll just cut their losses and let him go down. Happy with grabbing a good exchange top and the tower kill. That does push Johnny's Revenge down the lead, 5,000 gold, 4,000 experience. So they have a pretty decent edge, and I think they won't be too upset over their Morphling getting traded for all that.
Yeah, in this position, I think it's probably better to cut the losses. They're already in a great position in terms of KDA, and if they try to start rotating people, they're probably just going to add more fuel to the fire. They're probably going to be feeding lives away, and no, that's not what you want to do. So it sucks because Morphling is such a survivable hero, but in this particular situation, with such an advanced smoke gate movement from MSI, I think that just from our bird's eye perspective, we can see that it's probably better for them just to let things lie. Morphling will try to get out. He'll buy a lot of time, and John's Revenge can maybe take something elsewhere. Maybe the mid-tier 1 is something they can start looking to focus. But yeah, no matter the case, right now, we do not know the current status of Polisan. Obviously, he's had some issues when it comes down to connectivity, technical stuff, his PC. So they're going for a quick restart, and hopefully we'll be back in the game shortly.
Yep. Not much else we can do about it, and always issues here. Blaze, might be time for a joke.
Yeah, I guess I should pull some of those up. I actually had one that I came up with myself, but
No way. You're lying. You came up with an original? A Blaze original?
Yeah, but I can't say it's any better than all the other cheesy ones we've been pulling out. So that one. Do you play Portal? Are you a Portal fan?
Funny story. No, but I bought it I bought Portal 1 maybe a year ago. 2 years ago. I've forgotten now. And I had this whole master plan where I was going to go on vacation and I was going to play it and enjoy one of the greatest games in history, and then I never did. And it's been on my bucket list for a really long time, and I've opened it up, and I think it has like 2,000 hours played because I've left it open so long in my anticipation of playing it, but I've never actually started the campaign.
Okay, well, maybe some of the guys in chat will get this. Maybe if you know the characters, you'll get this one. But the question is, why would Darkseer make a good assistant for Gladys?
Because he's small.
He'd keep an eye on Shell. Shell is the main protagonist of the game. So.
Oh yeah, sorry, that one flew right over my head.
Okay,
down bottom,
action, Johnny.
Here we go. He'll start morphing strength, and Sand King's the one to TP. Nature's Prophet. There's the waveform Blaze. They'll get the turnaround kill onto the Skywrath Mage. In comes Winter. They'll bring down the Nature's Prophet. Morphling just barely able to survive on 5 hit points as he eats his charge. Sips his bottle. Will go down to the Earthshaker Fissure, but it looks like he will pay with his life. JYC on the run. The Blink Daggers aplenty. Burrow Strike, not enough mana. He'll have enough in about 10, and I don't think he'll survive this one as Sand King is hot in the pursuit. And we'll just give him the old Lobster Claw. 3 mana away. There's your Burrow Strike. So it will be a 1-for-3 turnaround, and even though Morphling went down, Johnny's Revenge with a pretty solid exchange.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice turn of events for them. The Shift Q, Blink Burrow strikes from Sand King was really the only way that could turn in their favor. Like, obviously, we saw Sharky didn't even bother to TP, but that Burrow Strike was extremely on point. It gave Morphling enough time, and yeah, they cast enough spells that the Magic Stick, the couple of bottle sips that came out, were sufficient. It really came down to the bottle sips, because he wouldn't have had mana otherwise, but because there was that stun, he actually got almost the full first sip off. So, gets the waveform, gets the turnaround, and now they stun up onto YND. indeed.
Yeah, Shallow Grave comes out under the Sand King as he gets initiated on. Primal Split is there. Naga pops the ultimate, but the Spirits, they're immune to it now. She'll get thrown up into this tornado, and there will be another boulder toss coming out momentarily. Sand King still on the escape. Will be able to survive. Earthshaker falls to the side. Now Jules gets converged on. Will go down. Nowhere to go. And MSI not looking so good in this team fight. Now Zero, as soon as he comes back down, takes a poison attack. No running away from a Viper. Dazzle's there for the sustains. The Shallow Grave makes it a killless operation for MSI. And it's a 3-0 with a tier 1 tower going the way of Johnny's Revenge.
Yep. So they're also going to pick up a double damage rune for Winter, so going to be able to deliver some big crits in the next fight. But for now, they're just happy to take a huge fight, some huge map control, and man, at this position, MSI, they've been trying to avoid fights. They use the Song of Siren, the Stampede, they try to disengage, but they just can't get away from all this Blink chase potential. And even Polasan bringing in just kind of this, I don't know, Flying Fortress type mentality to it, where he's just got this raw HP pool, and they even have the mech available if Ling goes in.
Yep. Very quick kill on the Skywrath Mage, who is now just so underleveled. He's only 5, no Mystic Flare. 2 supports on the side of Johnny's Revenge are both sitting pretty at 8, and we've got a level 5 and a level 6 on the side of MSI, and the level 6 is, of course, the Earthshaker, who, sure, you're not going to be upset about having Echo Slam, but more often than not, you're not going to have a good, too many good situations to use it without a Blink Dagger. So it's all about this Noggin now, I guess. She is the highest level and the leading farmer by far at about 5,500 net worth. 1,500 gold towards the Relic, but she is still far, far away. And Johnny's Revenge, I don't think they'll slow down this momentum too soon. Morphling doing a different style build. We'll go right into the Yasha after the Aquila power treads, but he is in fighting form.
Yep, so we're going to be seeing what he can accomplish with just some good raw right clicks here, but yeah, I kind of do like that pickup where you can just kind of get the extra stats to work with very early on. A lot of movement speed that he's lacking too, but he's actually going to be walking right up into the enemy. He does have Replicant up, but gets silenced out, and he can't get the Morph off. Just too slow on multiple triggers. There were significant windows of opportunity when he's kind of caught sight of the opposition where he could have morphed or he could have replicated, but unfortunately just doesn't have the reaction. Like, he sees it, he kind of goes panic, and then he doesn't hit any of the panic buttons, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he was probably not anticipating everyone to be there, so had that moment of thought of, can I get a kill out of this? And instead it should have been a, uh-oh, the whole team is here, let's retreat. And that time it will cost him his life. Still not the end of the world for Johnny's Revenge. They'll group up in the top lane and pressure this tier 2 tower quite hard. Winter using that double damage rune. You mentioned he picked up just a few moments ago, and this tower will certainly take the fall even if the glyph comes out. It is the Brewmaster that grabs the last hit, which will push him one step closer to his Aghanim Scepter, now about 1,600 gold away. MSI will rotate into the Radiant Jungle, and Naga pressures the mid-tier 1 quite a bit, but Johnny's Revenge will come to its defense. They'll do a fake back. They take the high ground, and now it is a 4-hero rotation.
Oh, this is dangerous.
TP up top, and they do not have that Naga reset tool. Centaur goes in, pops his Stampede, but he gets jumped on, and he falls before he can even hoof stomp. That was not ideal from Jotan.
Yeah, they just didn't have any vision right there. The Dire Observer Ward was just now placed right when they moved in, but if you look at the map in general, they're just blind in that specific region towards the top part of the river. So with the nighttime coming into play, they just didn't know what was around the bend. They thought they were going for an easy pick. They end up committing to something far more lethal. So yeah, now we do see kind of this death ball timing is in perfect form. The Dazzle has his maxed out Shadow Wave, so very cost-effective heal coming out from him. It's going to keep the creep wave alive, even despite the Naga Siren, and they will be able to bring this tower down.
Yeah, bottom lane, Prophet as well as the Earthshaker trying to pressure this tier 2, but not a lot of pushing prowess. Sure, there are some Treants, but Johnny's Revenge will easily be able to take this tier 2 down first, and now they can TP back home and make a defense if they're so inclined. They might not even need to TP. As the tower falls, Prophet will move back to safety, and so will the Earthshaker. He has the TP scroll, but he's going to do this the old-fashioned way, and if they cut him off, he may get left behind, and it looks like that is a fairly likely scenario here. He'll move into the easy camp, throws out a fissure, and now they know his positioning. He'll TP, and okay, he'll make it. Yeah, no one's going to be able to interrupt him. So he survives, and Zero's still hanging around a little bit longer also, doing that null tally blade mail build. Once more, Blaze. It's all the rage these days, these crazy kids.
Really good here, though, and the fact that there is a lot of incidental damage going about, but unfortunately, like, the Morphling's going to be invulnerable when he's waving, so even if he does go for the E-Blade after the Manta style, we're still going to be seeing him nullify most of the damage if he's smart about his skill usage. Same thing with the Brewmaster, who doesn't really care about it during split, so it really comes down to the Sand King, epicentering, burrow striking. If he hits that on the Blade Mail, it will certainly hurt, but maybe not enough for Dazzle not to be able to predict it. It's still radiating damage over time, so over those 5 seconds, you'll probably see Sharky throw out a grave on him, and in the end it'll just be a nice little bit of right-click damage coming from him, but not enough to change their state of affairs.
Yeah. Bottom tier 2, the last outer tower for MSI, taking some heavy damage. Meanwhile, in the top lane, once again, Morphling gets jumped upon, and they'll have the silence to bring him down. Poor JLB. Always the victim of the crime for MSI, but they will secure the top tier 1 tower, finish off the bottom tier 2, and again get a decent trade out of it as they clear up the creep wave. So even when MSI are finding steps in the right direction, it feels like Johnny's Revenge are 2 steps ahead.
Oh, mid lane almost was an opening. Actually, they're still going to go for it for Sharky, but he's only got 1 point in this Poison Touch. Doesn't have much control at all, and now he's going to get jumped on. Can they chain stun perfectly? There's the stagger, and there is the death of the Dazzle. Yeah, just kind of manned up solo. Pulson was just outside of Viper Strike range, maybe like 80 units, and Dazzle, he went for the YOLO play.
YOLO is a good term for that one. Very ambitious is the way I would put it, and will cost him his life. Naga Siren now grabs the Sacred Relic, so well, I guess steps in the right direction for MSI. Holding high ground will be a little bit easier for them, but still, even if she gets the Radiance soon, that's still this long window where she's not that tanky and very susceptible to the huge burst damage of Johnny's Revenge. Even just at a straight-up epicenter, even at level 1 will do a lot of damage. Now Brewmaster picks up his Aghanim Scepter and also upping his burst damage output significantly as well.
Yeah, the Naga Siren illusions, you might have a lot of them, but they are going to be a third as tanky as Morphling's Replicant when he uses it on the Naga Siren herself. So I don't really feel that until you actually get some good durabilities that they can survive an AoE spell or 2, that the Naga Siren illusions are going to be able to do all that much in the fight itself. But we know what it can do to her farm rates. Jules will be able to pick up a lot of GPM and be able to try to counter push quite a decent bit. If he micros properly. But Ling gonna go for the Burrow Strike here on Nature's Prophet. That should be plenty. He's almost playing around with his food right here. But in the end, they cast the spells, they get the kill, and they create an opening for Roshan if that's what they want.
Prophet did end up moving into the mech instead of the Blade Mail. So that Chainmail was all for a mechanism, and a little surprising, different take on the build, but I do like it here. Sand King moving into the tree line, hiding in fog with an epicenter ready. And just waiting for MSI to commit to this fight so that he can drop the hammer with all that AoE magic damage. Manta style now complete on the Morphling, so he's in complete fighting form. And with that, Johnny's Revenge will just start chipping at the high ground. Defensive weave comes out so they can tank the tower if need be. Winter hops in, goes onto the Centaur, forces out a defensive stampede. Uses the Primal Split, but they'll just back out. And now the Dire team kind of just watching their structures die. They use their glyph, but still not mounting much of a significant defense. Instead, they'll try and push tier 1 towers. Naga in the mid lane. Tier 1 tower for Barracks. I don't know about that.
Yeah, but if she gets this tower, she does get the Radiance, and she can't fight without the Radiance. Like, we'll go for a huge Echo Slam. Great combo of spells, but is it going to be enough to kill anybody but the Morphling?
Yeah, now Sand King coming in, just completely cleaning it up with that epicenter. All buybacks from MSI being deployed. They will use 3 straight away. Tier 3 tower's gone down with Barracks still standing, and now they'll reinitiate the fight. Viper has already used his mech, a lot of stick charges. They'll move in onto the Sand King. He does manage to get off the Sandstorm. They've got no detection now, as Viper just laying in the right clicks, doing a lot of damage here, but finally the Sand King goes down. Paulson will just try to TP home. Jules will be there with the interrupt. Brewmaster falls, and as will the Viper. Johnny's Revenge get cleaned up, but it was very costly for MSI. They still lose their tier 3 tower, and they need 3 buybacks to make it happen.
Costly for MSI in general, but look at Jules' gold right now. He literally just bought the Radiance and TP'd home when he killed that tower, and now 2,000 gold banked up. Just jump from having no Radiance at all, just the Relic, to going Radiance BOT. So yes, it's heavy expenses, but they keep the racks alive, and Naga Siren is absolutely huge right now. Just jumped up to the top of the net worth, above Viper, who's just been dominating this game, and Roshan's still on the table for the Dire team. So I have to say that although it was costly, although there were many disadvantages to their play there, it probably was the best one to keep them in the game.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Definitely needed to burn the buybacks and keep the barracks standing, but, well, we'll see. Now the Blade Mail comes out from the Nature's Prophet, so making a stop-off on the mech, but now very tanky with 21 armor. Meanwhile, in the Radiant jungle, Jules will get found out by Ling as he uses this invisibility rune. They go on to Sharky, manages to get off the grave before they can commit to the kill, and that will be enough to deter them. Nicely played by the Dazzle, and he will live.
But they're just going to spread across the map, BOTing up efficiently to the top lane. Jules is going to be farming that up, and then spread his illusions into the jungle and towards the tier 2. So right now he is getting a gold per minute of 550, and he is going to get really big really quickly. We're going to see the graph start to waver, and this is interesting. The net worth graph going the way more favorably towards MSI despite burning so many buybacks. And when it comes down to it, the buyback gold that they lost wasn't that costly. Centaur and Earthshaker already have their Blink Daggers, and the Sarath Mage isn't the most item-dependent hero. So yeah, they expended a lot, but with only like 500 to 700 gold spent on each, and the fact that they're already progressing pretty well, I actually think MSI are better off than they've been all game long.
Well, now Johnny's Revenge will try and finish off this top lane of barracks. Earthshaker is in the top lane, pushing, but will TP home with plenty of time to spare. All the big ultimates on cooldown, except that of Stampede coming up in 5 seconds. This time Dire don't have a glyph, however, so the barracks will take a lot of damage before the fight really breaks out. And they will smoke up, Stampede in. Paulison's there, reveals the smoke, just Viper strikes the Centaur off the gate. And now Winter in the front lines. They're keeping the Morphling in the back so he doesn't get silenced.
Oh, Jules.
Way too far forward. Has the Song of the Siren, but will be forced to use it super defensively. And this is just not looking like a great hold from MSI. They've burned 2 of their big ultimates and haven't gotten much out of it. Everyone on Johnny's Revenge still topped off thanks to the Dazzle. Now barracks will fall.
Yeah, they've got the Primal Split and Epicenter still. There's nothing that MSI can do. Earthshaker caught inside a corner. There's going to be some nice combos coming out. Winter's going to go down without splitting. That's pretty huge.
Yeah, they still will find the Earthshaker. Now they'll bring down the Centaur. And
Blade
Epicenter
Mail.
flying through. A lot of return damage from the Blade Mail. Secures the kill on the Sand King, but not enough to keep the Prophet alive. Jules will fall as he is right on the edge of the well. No buyback on the Naga Siren. And even though Johnny's Revenge have 2 deaths, they will take a team fight very successfully and just move straight to the mid and probably get another lane of racks.
Yeah, MSI is still giving it the good old college try, but it looks very bleak for them right now. It's a staggering 10,000 net worth advantage. Was actually up towards 14,000, but taking down the racks is the crippling blow. Now they're going to go in for the tier 3, but we'll see if they can actually take racks on the back of that. Pods will come out this time from MSI. A little bit of PC issues on their side this time around, and their only living member, YND, is the one that's having the problem. So unfortunate, but we will have another pause, and this game isn't over just yet. It is looking very bad because the racks dropping down at 25 minutes, but we've seen Nagasara lineups come back from worse, and they did at least get the top tier 2. Nature's Prophet able to push that out while the Song of the Siren was going on, and then of course he TP'd back to do what he could in the home base. So it's still pretty ugly, but if the Centaur gets the Pipe plus 4 staff finished up and the Naga Siren builds up her Manta Style and Heart, then they will be able to get back in this game. It's just going to take some time. For now, though, it's going to be the 2-3 and the racks that are in jeopardy in the mid lane.
Yeah, tier 3 tower goes down. Coming up in a few seconds here, but Naga's the big damage dealer, and this should be another lane of barracks secured. No glyph for 25 seconds. More than enough time to, at the very least, secure melee racks. They will back out after that and leave the range standing for now. Melee always the higher value target, and inevitably that the creeps shoving in will start chipping away at it. Morphling using his Manta gets off 2 auto attacks before they get cleaned up. That's still Johnny's Revenge now, just in a great position, regaining some of that lost footing from the failed team fight before, as we see on the graphs. BKB now bought by the Morphling, and this is a tool that MSI just really have no answer to.
No, not at all. They're all about the magical output right now. I mean, technically, you could try to, during Song of the Siren, ensnare and focus down the Morphling, but he's still, of course, not going to be silenced. He's got free casts and can just wave away. We're going to see Jules. Oh, the split right on top of him. This looks bad.
Yeah, so here's one of the other problems with that last team fight is that...
that Sprout, though.
Yeah. Winter didn't have to use his ultimate here. He will survive, and Some of this seems to be just a creating space tactic, because in the top lane, Sand King is shoving the wave in, and we'll start moving towards that tier 3 tower. Now that the Song of the Siren's on cooldown, that's a big one, and Johnny's Revenge will feel a little bit more comfortable trying to take a team fight here. Obviously, they don't have Primal Split, but a pretty worthy exchange as the other MSI ultimates are coming off cooldown. They've got a Stampede to work around with, and Johnny's Revenge will not press the issue, at least not quite yet, as Sand King rendezvous with the team.
Yeah, that song is only a 60-second cooldown. Now that Jules has found this really fast level 16 on the tail end of that fight down on the bottom lane, that went very favorably for him in particular. But yeah, it's pretty huge that they were able to get their abilities comboed in just that capacity. Zero and Jules making the plays happen. You song everyone. The pandas are still going to be hitting you. So they sprout the pandas, they cage the beasts, and they are actually able to fail that situation despite a lot of bad news coming their way. But we're just going to see the clean Roche come out for Johnny's Revenge. Nothing MSI could have done about this one. So the Aegis now on Polasan, and they're going to look to try to end the game in this 6-minute time frame.
Yep, up top, Morphling getting engaged upon, but turns on his BKB, will turn to fight. In comes Zero as he uses that global Morph Strength coming about, and it will be a defensive BKB usage as he waveforms to safety to meet up with the rest of the team that just finished off Roach. Aegis of the Immortal in the inventory of Polasan, and he'll go in onto Joe Tran to get it started. Does have the Ag Scepter, so Viper Strike on that super short cooldown. Will force back the Centaur, and now they'll feel comfortable going in as they pick off the Skywrath Mage first. Earthshaker is in the tree line, and I don't know if they saw him. Looks like they got wind of him moving in. Ling looking around for it. This is an odd corridor where there's a lot of options. Yeah. And doesn't really matter that much as Johnny's Revenge, the rest of the team, will just move straight into the base and finish off that mid lane of barracks and head to the tier 3 in the top.
Now, Morphling's not hitting too hard, is really 50-50 on his base strength and agi split there. Had to go very defensive in the beginning of that last fight, but it's still enough to chunk down the towers here, and he's got a lot of raw HP for the Dazzle to keep up. The more HP, the more potential for Dazzle to react in time with the necessary spells. We do see the Blade Mail counteracting a lot of Polasan's HP, and his damage is going two ways, but he does have that Aegis and that second life to work with.
Yeah, Primal Split from Winter right onto Joe Tan. He'll finish off the Centaur. Down goes Zero, and now we're starting to look like we're getting close to GG territory. Earthshaker coming around the backside. Has an Echo Slam, but now caught by the Viper Strike. He'll fall, and the only buyback available here is the Naga. And she's also one of the only heroes still alive. Winter will dive and connects with one of the boulders. Takes a Mystic Flare and a Silence, but really just trying to repel the forces right now while the rest of his team focuses on this tier 3. MSI have a glyph still standing, so maybe the smallest chance they can still make a hold before the Megas come out, but looking very bleak.
Very difficult to hold in this position. They can just keep the Viper up for so long with Sharky's mana pool right here. The Shadow Waves just keep coming, and yeah, that's so difficult to hold against this, but they're going to give it their last attempt. We actually see another disconnect from Polasan. Man, this guy's got network issues, but they know how close the game is to ending. They're not even going to bother pausing. They can just micro him for the right clicks. He's not that micro-intensive of a hero, I suppose. And yeah, they're going to be able to bring down these racks. But MSI trying to contest it.
Yep, Paulson, he's focused on the barracks. And he'll reconnect. Now the Epicenter comes in, connects on 2. Zero gets off the mech. The Blade Mail comes out a little too late. Paulson will fall, but there's your Aegis, and now MSI relegated back to the well, and this last melee barracks will finally go down. That is mega creeps here, Blaze, and Johnny's Revenge just moments away from securing a win here in our first game of Starladder SCA tonight.
Yeah, the tempo was really set by their early tier 1 push down on the bottom lane. That triple wave coming out and getting the first tier 1 tower before the 5-minute mark. Pretty insane. But following it up with some great movement across the map. A really awesome fight with the first couple of splits. And yeah, this is pretty much how you'd expect Johnny's Revenge to run this kind of lineup. They couldn't kill early, so they pushed early, and then they got the levels they needed for the kills. Jules put up a hell of a fight. Actually was almost the top of the net worth at the end of this game, but of course, killing off the base, you get a couple thousand extra. So in the end, he's going to be the one to just dodge the Viper Strike with the Manta Style. They play around in the base a little bit, but the game is over. JR taking another win here in Starladder SCA.
Echo Slam will finish off a few heroes. Now the throne is exposed, and Morphling just going to focus on ending the game here. MSI having some quote-unquote fun as they fake GG out and decide to go for a few more kills, but it will cost Jules his life And, well, he'll actually buy back for it as well. Morphling says, all right, let's just end this thing, guys. He's focusing on the throne. And JR will actually get completely cleaned up here, so we'll see. Winter goes in, and actually, Morphling pops the defensive BKB once more. Winter kind of doing the same. And now Brewmaster focusing on the throne as Morphling gets chased out of the base.
Yep, kind of the Pinoy GG there, but I think Winter will be able to finish this one off. Obviously, the Mega Creeps will be enough shortly. They can't even survive against them. The Centaur dies in his TP duration, so Johnny's here to save the day, to conclude the game. The Song of the Siren, they are just goofing about as much as they can, but they'll take one more death, and then the throne will fall.
Yeah, the buyback from Morphling picks up his BOTs and just a little too big at this point. They're finally out of buybacks, and down she goes. So that'll be our first game of the night. We've got 2 more coming up for y'all. We have MSI versus Arrow up next, and then our final game of the night will be Execration versus Myth Trust. So, Blaze, we've got a 15-minute break here, and then our next game will be underway.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. This one was a relatively quick one, 31 minutes, 48 seconds. But we saw some different strategies. Obviously, seeing the Morphle and the Naga Siren is something we don't get as much out of the NA scene. So it's cool to see them back in action with these awesome late-game potential carries. But in this case, it is going to be a relatively quick game before we get into the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you soon.